I'm Tom from Bakemark. I'm here in our Los Angeles Education Center to show you how to choose the proper ingredients to create a flaky pie crust. There aren't that many ingredients that go into a pie crust. The basic pie crust consists of flour, water, fat, and salt. Some bakers may add a pie dough conditioner, sugar, or a milk powder to their crust, but not so much for flavor, but just to create additional color for the pie crust. For the flour, you would want a low-protein pastry flour. You would want one that's unbleached, so you wouldn't be able to use a cake flour because for pie crust you don't want to develop gluten, and bleaching encourages gluten formation. So you want to be careful and always use unbleached flour. Protein content around 8 to 9%. For the fat, you want to use a pie dough shortening, although you can use an all-purpose shortening. What you really need to be careful for is you need a shortening that's plastic over a temperature range of approximately 60 to 90 degrees. If the pie shortening softens too much, the shortening will melt into the flour, and you want to avoid that. If the pie shortening is too hard, it won't break up properly in the mix, and you'll have lumps that are too large in there. When you're adding salt or sugar to the pie crust, you want to dissolve that in with your water. You're not going to mix the pie crust very long, so you want to ensure that it gets evenly distributed throughout the pie crust, and dissolving it in the water ensures that. If you're going to add a powdered type materials like a pie dough aid or a milk powder, you'll want to mix that with the flour before you add the shortening, just to ensure that it gets mixed in evenly. You want to make sure all the ingredients are cold when you make a pie crust. You don't want the shortening melting into the flour. So the flour should be 60 degrees or cooler. The shortening should be cool, but not below 60 degrees. If you get the shortening too cold, it'll start shearing and breaking up when you mix it, and it won't dissolve or won't mix into the flour properly. Your water should be ice cold, but with no ice cubes or ice chips in it. So when you go to mix it, you want to take the cold flour and the shortening, and what I like to do is before I turn the mixer on is I take the shortening and I try and distribute it around the flour so it takes less time to mix it in. And then I'm going to mix it only long enough so where the shortening breaks down to no larger than pea-sized lumps. You want it to look kind of like the consistency of a streusel or a cornmeal. You don't want to mix it to a paste. If you mix it to a paste, your pie will not be as flaky. After I mix the shortening into the flour, I turn the machine off, and when I add the water, I add it before the machine gets turned on, and I distribute the water evenly around the whole mixer, like that. Then I just turn on the mixer, and I only mix it long enough so that there are no wet spots left on the dough, and all the flour is mixed in. When it gets to that point, I turn the mixer off. From there, I take the dough, I put it on a pan, and I let it hydrate in the refrigerator up for 4 hours. That way the dough has enough time to absorb the liquid and strengthen for any machining it's going to go through when the pie shell is made. If you choose the correct ingredients and mix the dough properly and make sure your ingredients are chilled correctly, you'll be able to produce a nice flaky pie crust with little shrinkage like we see right here. For more information on products and recipes, visit us at yourbakemark.com.